So let's give away some of the awards for the AFL season and the world of sport this year. Now, I want to start with the Glenn Maxwell Award for the best individual performance of the year. And there were so many. Like the amount of great games we saw from forwards who, they kicked big bags of goals against poor teams, but Toby Green was enormous. Nick Dacos produced some unbelievable performances. Some of the intercepting defenders, James Sicily against the Saints was unbelievable. Zach Butters was on fire in that wet game against Melbourne on that night. But and how could you go past Bobby Hill for his Norm Smith medal performance? It was extraordinary. Like one-on-ones, speed, excitement, finishing ability, pressure. So he wins the Glenn Maxwell Award for the best individual performance of the year. 1300 736 736 if you've got a different view on that. Who, for you, had the best individual game this year? And it can be across any sport as well. I've named it after Glenn Maxwell. He, of course, could have been involved a couple of times through his heroics, not falling off the golf cart, but for his double ton and fastest century and all of that. So he could be a nominee as well. Let's move on to the Victor Wembanyama Award for the player with the brightest future. Has the game ever been in better shape with young players? That's what I want to ask you today. We can be critical of the AFL at times, and I can certainly put my hand up for that, and I'll call it out when it needs to be. But right now, the future of the game is in great hands. Well, we've got budding superstars everywhere. If you look at the Brownlow medal count, the amount of 23 or under years of age players who got huge votes. Noah Anderson, Errol Goulden, Zach Butters, Horn Francis got 16. Tom Green is building. Nick Dacos, second year. So, I don't know. I just love the fact that the game is in such good hands. Will Ashcroft, Harry Sheasel, Goulden, Green, Harley Reid, if you believe the hype. But who's got the brightest future? The Victor Wembanyama Award. He's the new number one pick in the NBA. This sensation that you would have seen for the Spurs. 7'4" with an 8-foot wingspan, just doing crazy things. Nick Dacos, I don't know if there's ever been a player with a brighter future than him. So he's won the Victor Wembanyama Award, or the Wemby Award. He wins the Brownlow next year, doesn't he? Like, if he stays sound. Good competition, as I said, with those players getting huge votes. Hugh McCluggage is another one. But you would just love to be Nick Dacos. See that he's in New York at the moment with Bailey Smith. Just magnificent. And the way that he carries himself, could not find fault with Nick Dacos. So in terms of a bright future, he wins that award. The Alan Border Medal is awarded to the game's best leader. And I wouldn't have said this 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. Toby Green's the best captain in the game, and rightly recognised with All-Australian captaincy. And who would have thought? Who would have thought that he would be leading the Giants the way that he is? Now, a year ago, well, I remember speaking about it during trade radio, I thought maybe it's the right time for Toby Green to leave the Giants. They'd lost Taranto and Hopper off the back of Cameron and the other players that had left. And I thought, he's 30, 31 years of age, Toby Green. Is he ever going to win a premiership at the Giants? Should he go to a big Victorian club and try and win a premiership in Victoria? He didn't do that, and now he's as good a shot as anyone of leading a team to a premiership with how close that they got. So I just think it's one of the best footy stories I've seen from where Toby Green has been. I love watching him play. I think he's a top 3 player in the game, and right now he's the best captain. So he wins the Alan Border Medal Award, 1300 736 736. The Robert Downey Jr. Award is awarded to the player that all is forgiven. Robert Downey Jr., the All is Forgiven Award. Couple of nominees here, but only one winner. Jordan De Goey. So, not that long ago, Collingwood had handed Jordan De Goey a $25,000 fine, suspended until the end of the 2022 season, as the club called his actions in Bali not acceptable regardless of consent. They condemned De Goey's behaviour during the club's mid-season bye and expressed disappointment in the way it demonstrated disrespect towards women. And there was the thought that he may leave the Pies at the end of last year, and there was even a thought that they may not offer him a contract at one point. Well, now we've forgotten about it. Best on ground in the prelim against the Giants in one of the better individual performances that we've seen. He's a premiership hero. The images in the change rooms with his grandma with a premiership medal around her neck were sweet, and they went viral. and we've all forgotten about it. So he is one nominee, but how could you go past, and this is the winner of the Robert Downey Jr. Award, Taylor Walker. Just over 2 years ago, Taylor Walker fronted the media in tears after he racially vilified SANFL player Robbie Young. The AFL suspended him for 6 weeks. Adelaide was uncertain whether he would even play again for them, to where he is now, named in the All-Australian team for the first time. The club wheels him out on all their social media to promote the club, and it has been one of the most dramatic turnarounds and rebuilt reputations that we have ever seen. So Tex wins that one. This is my favourite. Moving on to the Brodie Grundy Award for the worst long-term contract. And where do I start? I mean, this award could have been named after Clayton Oliver, but I think Brodie Grundy's was worse. We'll go to Brennan Cox. These are the nominees. 6-year contract extension through until the end of 2030. Brennan Cox got 6 years at Fremantle, if you missed that. Josh Rochelle at Adelaide, he signed until the end of 2029. And his teammate Jake Saligo is a nice player, Jake. I like the way that he goes about it. But he already had a contract until the end of 2025. And Adelaide have gone, hang on, you know what? 2025 is not enough. We're going to extend your deal until the end of 2029. Nick Blakey got 7 years through until the end of 2031. Darcy Parish, well, the club tried to trick us and tell us it was 5. It's really 6. He's not a player that deserves 6 years. Ben Mackay, 6 years. He's going to be paid $1.5 million in the first year. Not bad for a player who has never had a Brownlow vote and played in 8 wins in his whole career. Joel Jeffrey, 16 games, 4-year contract for the Gold Coast player who got dropped this year and then had a stress fracture in his foot, but he got 4 years. But the winner of the Brodie Grundy Award for the worst long-term contract is Aaron Norton. How could you go past it? How could you go past Aaron Norton? He's got the 8-year extension, 2032. It's going to be a disaster for the Western Bulldogs. You can mark my words on that. The Nick McKenzie Award is awarded to the best journo. Now, we've got some good competition, and I know journos probably aren't your favourite people, but just bear with me with this. I had some good performances from the journos this year. Caro had a good year. She broke the story about Stewie Jew. She was all over that. She got criticised fiercely. The club came out the next day and said, nah, she's wrong. Well, a week later, she was right, and she had that before anyone else. So hard to go past Caro. She's an absolute joy to work with and fearless, and I really respect her for that. Sammy Edmund now, man. Not only does Sam Edmund break stories, but he hosts whatever radio show you'll ask him to do. He jumps in here, there, and everywhere. He's got a massive work ethic, and he broke some big stories, so got to give him some love. Mitch Cleary's just building really nicely, his year, and broke some big stories again this year. And just one to watch is Xander Maguire on Channel 9. Oh, he's got a bright future. Thought I'd give him some recognition. But the winner is Tom Morris. I mean, what a turnaround. I was speaking about the All Is Forgiven award. Well, he dropped the Damien Hardwick bomb. That ensured he won the Alf Brown. Now Channel 9 have created a new role for him as its chief footy reporter. It's a huge get for Channel 9. We'll see him bob up on Footy Classified, I'm sure, and maybe even the almighty juggernaut that is the Sunday Footy Show next year. So Tom Morris wins the Nick McKenzie Award for the best journo in football. The NFL Overtime Award for the dumbest rule in sports. Now, the rookie rules just have to change. Like, this is... So the NFL Overtime rule has been adjusted slightly, but look it up. It's still ridiculous what happens in a tied game. The rookie list rules in the AFL would have to be the dumbest rule in all of sports. How a club can delist 31-year-old Chad Wingard or 31-year-old Sam Reid and put them back on the rookie list to free up some list spots and some cash is an absolute mess. So, Laura Kane, Andrew Dillon, you've been really good to start, and you've adjusted some things. You've cracked down on clubs taking the mickey with their injury lists. You've made sure clubs need to jump through a few extra hoops to sign players to those stupid long-term deals. You got to crack down on the rookie list. It's got to be for players under the age of 23 who haven't been on an AFL list before, not the rubbish that we get right now. This award comes with some audio. It is the Jared Healy or the Eddie Maguire slip of the tongue on radio award. And this happened last night. Get a load of this from Kim Dillon on SEN SA last night.
How do we get the cock out? You used to bowl some beautiful leg breaks and had a great googly. How do we get the cock out?
Can we have one more go at that, please? It's too funny.
How do we get the cock out? You used to bowl some beautiful leg breaks and had a great googly. How do we get the cock out?
Oh, Kimbo. That audio thanks to SEN SA, the run home with Kimbo and the Rooch. And finally, as I've worked through my extensive awards, we'll send some trophies out to the winners. Of course we will, and some prizes. But the Adam Simpson, Lucky I've Got a Contract award, goes to Luke Beveridge. So Adam Simpson is only in a job because he's got a contract and the club didn't want to pay him out. And I honestly can't believe that he has survived, and we'll wait and see what happens in the early stages of next year. But if he didn't have a deal, he wouldn't be there. If Luke Beveridge didn't have a deal, he wouldn't be there either. So the club, as I spoke about earlier on in the program, strangely extended his contract 12 months too early. Lucky for Bevo, they did. He hasn't won a final in 6 out of the last 7 seasons. They sensationally capitulated late this year. They sacked everyone around him, and they've just started a Peter Jackson-led review. This in the same week that most clubs have returned for pre-season training. So Bevo wins the Adam Simpson Lucky I've Got a Contract award, and that concludes the Captain's Run awards for another year.